welcome to another episode of the Nord and Block podcast. It is Monday, October 14th, 2024. It is episode number 24. That's ironic, 24, 2020. Yeah, you know. LeBlock, hockey's back. How are we feeling? You've been to 2 games so far.
I have.
Like what you're seeing from Ottawa?
I am like what I'm seeing because I've seen 2 wins. You know, just undefeated, never lost this season.
Yep. LeBlanc is undefeated. The Senators are not. We'll get into that in a little bit. The NHL's officially back. It's been back for actually almost a week now. When you guys see this episode, it will be a week since the first game. It is great. I got to say, it's great being able to come home from school every day and put on a good old hockey game. Makes you very happy. I'm sure LeBlanc feels the same way.
After work.
What we're going to start off with here today. Sorry.
After work, just make dinner, throw on the game, just.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What we're going to start off today is with a few surprises that we kind of saw through, the first couple of games. And I do want to preface, I want to leave a little bit of a disclaimer by saying that it's literally only 4 to 5 games in for most teams. Actually, I think it's 3 to 4.
2 to 3, yeah.
So, yes. So a lot of teams have not played that many games. And I think that even though there is that factor thrown in, there actually has been a few surprises through the first couple of weeks of the season. So I'm going to start off with LeBlanc. We're going to go back and forth. We're going to talk about 4, and then we're going to put this into an Instagram graphic because that's what our plan is. We love making plans like that. But LeBlanc, what would you say has been the most surprising thing that you've seen, or I guess most surprising storyline that you've seen this season?
Austin Matthews, the reigning Rocket Trophy winner. No goals in 3 games. I think it's 4 games.
4 games,
Yep.
yes.
4.
The Maple Leafs have played. Oh, no, sorry, it's 3.
My bad.
Yeah, little surprising, to be honest with you. He's not the only one, in fact. I believe Nylander and Tavares
I know Nylander scored.
Okay, never mind then. But at one point, they weren't. So, honestly, yeah, it's a little surprising for your Rocket guy to not have any goals through the first couple of games of the season. You would think that he maybe picks up at least 1.
He also doesn't have any points.
Yeah, that's the other thing, too.
Matthews is a goal scorer, but he's a really good passer too. So even again, and they've played Montreal. They played Montreal, New Jersey, and Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
you would assume he would at least get like a point in. He should have got a goal in one of those games, in my opinion. You would think,
You remember last year when he started off with 2 straight hat tricks?
Yes.
And he had 6 goals in 2 games. Yeah, it's one of the things that I remember the most from that. But you can look at that in 2 ways, though. You can look at it, it's like, oh, it's bad that Matthews isn't showing up. But you can also look at it as, oh, they're winning games without their number 1 guy scoring.
Yeah, and I think that's what the Leafs want. They rather would win games than gain personal accolades.
Yeah, that's definitely what Toronto's looking at. One of the biggest surprises for me is the Calgary Flames, 3-0 through the start of the season. They have played the Canucks. They went down 4-1, and we saw a lot of people say, "Yeah, this is going to be a rough year." Then they make a comeback at the end of the game and win at 5-4, which Vancouver will get into that in a little bit. And then they come in and they beat Philadelphia, and then they go and they beat the Oilers. So I think Calgary looks really, really good right now, to be honest with you. They kind of look like a wagon. And there were some people who said to me that, Calgary was going to prove me wrong, and so far they honestly have. And a lot of that might be because of, I feel like this team has a little bit of, that magic to them after what happened with Gaudreau. It kind of seems like, that's kind of, made them a little bit more motivated, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, I would say that, when something happens, teams get that spark almost, to get their spark back. And I feel like Calgary, you can feel around the city, you can feel it in the locker room. There's a spark happening. Also, I want to say, Jonathan Huberdeau comes alive. He's playing.
What the hell's going on?
He's had a really good opening games. It's almost like he's playing his Florida days.
Yeah, and that's actually really good for Calgary. Again, as you said, you wanna at least make him having some connections. He has 5 points through the first 3 games of the season for Calgary. So that's terrific. 100%. That's great. considering the fact that last year was a really rough season. Like, he went almost the entire month of December without even having a point
Yeah.
until the very last day. So, honestly, that's great to see that he's off to a hot start, and maybe that will continue down the road.
Hopefully, I know in Calgary they nicknamed him. When I went there, they said, "Oh, it's the $10 million man."
Yeah,
So
10.5.
hopefully the $10 million man can keep this up. That way, I feel like they'll get more support around them. The Flames overall, though, like you look at on paper, they're not good, but they got some youth on that lineup. They got. I really do like the Flames as a team. I really think they could surprise, and they're
Yep.
doing that so far. It's early still, but you'll take the early jumps when you get them.
Yeah, 100%. All right, what's another thing that surprised you?
Let's stay in the province of Alberta. Edmonton Oilers 0-3. And I want to just mention that, like, 0-3, like, sure. But for the teams they played Winnipeg Jets in their opener. They got smacked 6-0.
Yeah, they got wrecked.
They played,
Yeah,
they played the Blackhawks on Hockey Night in Canada, the prime time game.
home opener.
No, it's the second game of home because their opener was against Winnipeg.
Oh, it was? I
Yes.
thought it was against. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they go down 4-1, end up losing the game 5-2. And then Calgary, they lost last night 4-1. If I'm at a loss for words here because you should not be losing to those teams.
Yeah.
Winnipeg, I'll give them as that's an acceptable loss, but you should not have lost to Winnipeg in the fashion that you lost.
Yes. You should not have lost to Chicago. You should have actually destroyed
You
Chicago.
should have destroyed Chicago.
You probably should have beat Calgary, too, even though Calgary looks good right now. In that game against the Flames, they had their first lead in the entire season so far, which is pretty mind-boggling, to be honest. I'm trying to pull up their stats here so I can put it into perspective a little bit. A lot of their guys really have kind of struggled a little bit. So you look at McDavid, who had, if I can pull up my notes here, McDavid had only has 2 assists,
Yep.
no goals, -5. Draisaitl only has 1 goal, is a -3. Hyman, no points, -3. Stuart Skinner, 5.4 goals against, .805 save percentage.
Oof.
Oh, yeah, not looking too great there. And again, you probably, it's fine losing to Winnipeg, but not in that fashion. You should have beat Chicago. You should have beat Calgary. And I would also like to point out that Jeff Skinner leads this team in points, which is the curse. Curse is back.
Do you know who scored their first goal of the year?
It wasn't Skinner because he scored last night. Corey Perry?
It was Corey Perry.
Nah, ha.
Out of all the firepower they got up top and on that top four, I would not expect Corey Perry to get the first points of the year for them.
Yeah, you would think that like they would come out running because they lost in Game 7 last year, and maybe things haven't gone their way. Like, if I'm surprised, but I'm not panicked in a way.
Yeah,
I'm
not concerned. If we get to 0-8, 0-10, then you can be concerned.
If we get to that point again, then I'm gonna be like, yeah, I don't know,
And
because yeah, they did it last year, but you can't do it again. Well, you can. But
I'm gonna be blunt here. If it gets to that point, do you know what's gonna happen?
Knobloch's probably gone.
Knobloch's gone, and you know who they're gonna hire?
Joel Quenneville.
Joel Quenneville. Yeah, exactly. I can see it happening, but like looking at their upcoming schedule, there's some teams there that they definitely will. I think they'll get a win.
Yeah, they play Philadelphia on Tuesday. They probably beat Philly unless Mitchkov comes up and just decides to explode. Then they play Nashville, who's actually struggled. Then they play Dallas, followed up by Carolina and Pittsburgh, and then Detroit, and then Columbus, and then Nashville to wrap up your month of October. So, yeah, honestly, they should definitely win a few games down that stretch. Their schedule's a little bit difficult, though. With a few matchups in there that might be a little bit hard, but honestly, they should come out of this month in a better spot than they were currently. They should win on Tuesday against Philadelphia. If you don't win on Tuesday, things are gonna get interesting there already, and it's at home too.
I'm just gonna say the memes, the dig in memes are gonna be hilarious.
They dug out. I mean,
Yeah.
I made a video on TikTok talking about it, and people were saying that like this is what happens when you don't dig in. But I'm gonna say this, like, haven't their last 3 games been at home?
Yes, they started out. Yeah, they're 0-3 at home.
Jeez.
That's concerning. That's really concerning.
Didn't that happen last year though?
They lost to the Canucks on opening night last year. I know that at
That was in
home.
Vancouver though, I think. I have no
They
idea.
they, they played back-to-back games against each other to open the season last year.
Yeah, I think one of them was in Vancouver, the other was in Edmonton.
Yes.
I remember like well, I remember at one point in the year they had a streak where they won a bunch at home, and then they had a streak where they were losing a bunch at home. So yeah, like if you lose 4 straight at home, I think you're gonna get booed off that ice and things are gonna get pretty ugly. But I don't know. Like I would actually be kind of shocked if they went out and fired Knobloch. But it is Bowman. It's a new
It's
GM.
a new GM. He's got no loyalty to the staff there right now. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I don't know, but we'll see where this goes. We'll keep an eye on it for sure.
Yep, I agree with that. My other thing that really surprised me was Dylan Gunther, and honestly, just the Utah Hockey Club as a whole. Now, they did get shut out today against the New Jersey Devils, which we expected to happen. Now, that is one thing that doesn't surprise me is the Devils being really good. But Dylan Gunther came out to open the season. Utah played Chicago, who they beat 5-2. That was a really, really good game played by Utah. Then they go on their usual road trip, which is what they do with, like, I remember the Coyotes did that as well, where they would go on their New York road trip so early. They go in and play the Islanders in the third period, which was insane. Like, the Islanders would score, then Utah would score, then the Islanders would score, and then Utah would score. And then you see Dylan Gunther score the game winner, and then they go to the Rangers and they do the same thing over there. So again, they did get shut out by the Devils, but they really do look like this team could be a threat. And again, I said it so many times in videos, but people forget that like at the end of, before they went on like that 14 game losing streak, they were close to the playoffs, if not like in the playoffs. So you got to look forward to that for sure. But Dylan Gunther specifically has looked really good. He leads the NHL now. Again, I know it's early. He leads the NHL with 5 goals through I believe 4 games, which is great. And he is on pace for an unbelievable stat line. And I think that honestly, you can't help but be really excited for that and hope that that definitely continues because again, Gunther signed to that lucrative contract in the offseason right before the season started, and people looked at that and said, I don't like that. But he's looked really impressive. Among them too was Clayton Keller, who's also looked good too.
Hmm. Yeah, no, Utah's looking good. I mean, going on the road in MSG and beating the Rangers, that's a very tall task.
Yep. Every year
Um,
the Coyotes would do that, they would always lose.
hmm you can tell it's a different vibe in the locker room. Tell it's a different vibe, different city overall, different vibe around the team. It's good. It's good, and I like what they've done. Yes, they lost today to New Jersey, but I'll be honest, I was expecting them to break against New Jersey. New Jersey's a really good team. Um, but yeah, I think Gunther. Me and you had a little discussion about Gunther off camera before the season started about
Yep.
65 points for Gunther, and I respectfully took the under.
Yeah, I don't know. He's already 60 away in
Yeah.
4 games. No, we'll see. I'm gonna make fun of you for that all season if
Yes.
Gunther does get there, but we always have takes that are bad.
You know,
Just
you know
look
what
at
you need? Like on top of my head here, just like Gunther point tally out of 65.
yes. I'm gonna make a whiteboard. Put up a whiteboard behind me. I should do that because I have a huge one. But yeah, I do want to read a quote from Clayton Keller a few days ago when he was asked about playing in Utah. He said that is completely different feeling. It's good to not have any distractions.
That's good.
And some people might have taken that as a shot against Arizona. No, it was a shot against ownership and Alex Morello in
Yeah.
Arizona. It
I,
wasn't the city of Arizona. It wasn't any of that. It was Morello completely. And it's good that they go there and Ryan Smith, who loves to be the center of fame and attention, to be honest
he
with you.
does.
Well, he's doing a way better job than Morello did. So,
Bro looks like the youngest old person I've ever seen in my life.
yep. Yep. It's
Um,
it's
by distraction, they mean like, there's no talk about relocation. There's no talk about where they're gonna play next year, which is honestly, I think that's a big like burden lift off to all those players' shoulders.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Yeah, it's great. All right, LeBlanc, you got anything else that's kind of surprised you?
Cole Caulfield's like hot start. Like we always say like, oh, Caulfield's gonna score 30, 40 this year, and then we are like, ah.
Yeah,
He's got
closest guy's got 28, so.
he's got 4 goals.
Yeah, he did take a pretty good step last year. I'm looking at his stat line right now. He went from 36 points or 36 points in a
To
short
like
season
67 or something like that.
to 65.
5, yeah, okay.
So, pretty good climb, I would say. So, I would say 30 goals is not out of the question 100%, but, he's off to a really good start, and you love it. I also want to point out, you might be going to this in a second, but Lane Hutson right now leads all rookies in points with 4 assists, so that's great.
The head bobber himself.
It's a little early to kind of determine what exactly, little too early to determine like if that's gonna, like really affect the rookie race.
Yeah, it's really early.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. But Hudson's off to a really good start, and you can't help but be happy about that. One thing that also surprised me in a way, it surprised me, and it kind of didn't at the same time. It's Vancouver's goaltending kind of struggling out of the gate. Obviously, they play 2 games, one against the Flames, one against the Flyers. I think they've had multiple leads in each of those games, and they've blown both of them.
Yeah.
So it's not a good look. It really isn't. It's a good thing, though, you got those points, but it's still not that great of a look, which makes it even crazier because right now, Calgary leads the division.
Crazy, like insanity.
I mean, it's only 5. Like
again, we're only 3 games in, so like.
Actually, no, Vegas. Sorry, Vegas actually is first in the division. So
okay.
I am stand corrected, but Vancouver's goaltending really surprised me a little bit, but it did and it didn't at the same time.
Right. This didn't surprise me, but I think it surprised the league. Let me tell you who's number 2 in points right now. It is Tim Stützle.
Ooh, he's tied for second.
But like,
but yeah, still second.
But yeah, I feel like I guess I said this multiple times over the summer that healthy Tim Stützle is going to have a nice bounce back year. He's got 6 points in 3 games.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of you there with my other surprising one. You know who's also tied with him? Ivan Barbashev.
Wow.
Guy's got 6 points in 3 games. He's looked pretty good so far for the Golden Knights. Among those 2, Stefan Noesen, 6 points too.
Yeah.
Again, Huberdeau we kind of talked about. Mark Kastelik. The hell?
Big Casty?
Yeah, former Ottawa Senator involved in the Linus Ullmark trade. He has 5 points in 6 games too. 2 goals, notably. So he looks really good as well. So, few impressive guys. I would also like to give a shout out to Seamus Casey.
Seamus Casey, yeah. He's been
like with the injuries in New Jersey on their blue lines, really come out as someone who looks like a highlight on that blue line for sure. So, you love to see that. LeBlanc, do you have any more surprises before I get into like a few headlines and stuff?
I have no more surprises.
Okay. Well, I do want to talk about a game today between the Senators and the LA Kings, which was unbelievable. LeBlanc, you were there, by the way, so you can kind of give some perspective on this. But the Ottawa Senators won the game 8-7. They had 41 shots and scored 8 on Darcy Kemper. The Kings had 26 shots and scored 7 on Mads Sogard and Anton Forsberg. Linus Ullmark has come out to be day-to-day. I want to say some of the notable scorers that scored goals in that game. Josh Norris, 3-point game. You can't help but be happy about that with the injuries. Zach McEwen, 4th-line guy, 2 goals. And Brent Clark also had 3 assists as well. So, very high scoring, very competitive game. LeBlanc, you were here. What was your takeaways from this game?
First of all, walking in, Brent Clark's from the area. A lot of Brent Clark jerseys. Lying around. But every time the Kings would get into the Sens zone, the entire guy was like, no. Because if you do the math, That's a goal every 3 shots.
Yeah, that's like pretty awful
Yeah,
save.
and after the ninth shot, it was 3-1. That's when Ottawa pulled Forsberg.
Made you think Corpusalo was in
I
there.
know. So we went from Forpasalo to Forsberg.
That's awesome.
Um,
That's a great transition. I
yeah.
love that.
So, Sogard, yeah, he had some really good saves, but he also had some pretty weak goals go in. Um, I do want to say that like we also lost Zub at the beginning of the game because Tanner Janot hit him and he did not return. But this game was insane because Ottawa at one point was down 4-1.
Yep.
I said, oh, here we go again. Because every year, me and Dylan, Dylan's my brother, he's a Kings fan. We go to every Kings Sens game. He didn't go with me this year. So I'm like, oh, because every year they win. So I'm like, oh, here we go again. Then in the second period, they come back, and it's 5-5 after 2. We're like, what is going on here?
Wild game.
Penalty kill, not existent for either team. Both teams are not good at penalty killing. Power play, both teams' power plays look really good as well. So, it was a fun game, but like I wouldn't like if I took someone to do their first game and it was 8-7, like listen, this doesn't always happen.
Definitely get them interested, but it doesn't always happen for sure.
It's fun.
Now, going back to it here, I want to talk about Josh Norris,
Yeah.
who has had a very rough go of things over the last couple of years dealing with injuries. What does it feel like seeing Norris get a 3-point game here?
It's awesome. Like he's gone through so much like crap over the years with the injuries and the injuries like not be able to stay healthy. For him to finally like I don't want to say come like I don't want to say like get back to form, but like get back to like multi-point games. Like it's fantastic to see after he's gone through like the surgeries, the injury. It's great. It's great. I'm everybody in Ottawa loves Josh Norris, and I have a quote here. It is a tweet. So if you don't know, people in Ottawa will know this. About a couple years ago, a Ottawa Senators fan got a tattoo of Norris's face right on his stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh Norris sent him like a jersey and all that. Thank you, yada yada yada. The guy with the face tattoo tweeted this today. Of course, Norris pops off the day after I have my first tattoo removal session for him, for his face, for the face on my stomach.
Oh, that stinks. That sucks.
Yeah.
But it's good to see him come back though after what all he's gone through.
Yeah, and like when you mention Norris, I'm like, oh, he'll get injured, yada yada yada. Like him having a hot start, that's really important. I love that, and I said before the game, I think Josh Norris gonna have a good game, and he did have a good game. So, I love to see it. I love to see it. I do want to say also, getting off of Josh Norris, at once when Norris scored the game winner, Captain Brady Tkachuk didn't go to Norris. He went back to Sogard. Say, hey, good job keeping us in the game.
Ooh, what a way to be a captain.
Yeah.
Instead of some people saying after the loss to Montreal that he's the problem for them losing so much.
We're not gonna. I don't want to get into that. Oh my god, that's a whole other. That's a whole other episode. Like that's a whole other.
Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. All right, let's talk about. I have a few other things that I want to discuss before we get into some news around the NHL that we missed.
For sure.
Macklin Celebrini scored his first National Hockey League goal along with Will Smith. Smith didn't score, but they made their NHL debuts together. They did end up blowing a lead against the St. Louis Blues, but LeBlanc, you saw the Celebrini goal, correct?
I believe so. Yes.
What was your input on the goal? I can send it to you again if you want to look at it.
It was probably one of the greasiest first goals I've ever seen in my life. No, I'm not gonna lie about that.
Yeah, so you take a look at it here. Celebrini gets a pass into the zone. He does kind of a no-look pass to the other end, kind of does a little spinorama and throws the puck behind him. It bounces off of, I think that is
That's Ryan Suter, yeah.
No, that's Kessel. Ryan Suter's in the frame, but it's Kessel.
Oh, yes, I see.
Not Phil Kessel. The puck bounces off of Kessel and goes past, I believe, Joel Hofer. and slides right into the net. Now that's got to be one of the weirdest first NHL goals that we have ever seen. But two things that I want to go off of here. First off, it's great that Celebrini scored. Like, seeing Will Smith and Celebrini play together, like, we are going to witness like some history there. Like, those two players are this team's cornerstone the next few seasons. And this year's going to be like another rough season for them, but you're going to see some points where you see Celebrini and Smith and a few other the young players really make some headlines this year. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that happen. My other question there for you, though, is LeBlanc. You've probably seen a lot of first NHL goals, some in
Yes.
person, some on TV. What's the weirdest one that you can remember that you've seen?
Brady Kachuk's first goal. It was so weird because like I think it hit. I think it deflected off the toe of his skate and went into the net. It was against Philadelphia, actually.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I don't remember that, but that's pretty awesome. I'll have to look that one up.
That one's
All right.
weird. I also want to say Sanderson's first NHL goal was weird because like they didn't know if he scored until like midway through the second period.
Oh, yeah, because it must have been one of those like tip-in
Yeah.
goals from the yeah, yeah, 100%.
So on the
One of
PA,
the
they're
things
like,
that
we don't really know who scored, but somebody scored. Don't really know who scored.
Yep. One other thing that I do want to talk about is Yaroslav Askarov. He had a shutout in his first game with the San Jose Barracuda in the AHL. And LeBlanc, I don't know if you've seen the clip. I'll send it to you right now. But he, quote, put the net to sleep after he
I
scored.
saw that. I saw that. That was
Yeah. Seeing Askarov do that, and we know why he got sent down because he was hurt. LeBlanc, how long do you think until we see Askarov in the NHL playing
I
for San
guarantee
Jose?
you he's up by November 1st.
Yeah, he's up by Halloween, in
Yeah.
my opinion. He has to be after this.
Like, Askarov's one of the most polarizing goalie prospects right now.
Yeah,
And
he really is.
even that I know he was hurt, that's why he got sent down, but like, the fact that he's not on the roster, it's kind of surprising.
Yeah, honestly. All right, another thing that I want to talk about. We're going to go over to a city that wants to be in Canada, but it's not. The Buffalo Sabres. That might have been a little bit of a chirp. I'm sorry, guys. We're going to
God.
Niagara Falls with the Buffalo Sabres here. Is it late, early in Buffalo? So the Sabres opened up their season against the New Jersey Devils in the Global Series, where they ended up taking two losses. The first one, they got goalied. They lost 4-1. The second one, they got outplayed and lost 3-1. Then you go to LA, or actually, excuse me,
LA.
you go to your home opener in
Mhm.
LA, and you get goalied there too. Kemper played really good. You end up losing 3-1, but then you go to Florida and you win 5-2. But you start off your season 1-3, and we saw today that apparently Peyton Krebs and Rasmus Dahlin got into it a little bit in
Yes, I
practice.
saw that clip this
There,
morning.
there were some makeups for that. Peyton Krebs posted something on his story for Dahlin, giving him some, like apologizing, I guess. They made up after it. And then when Lindy Ruff was asked about it, he said, and I quote, "Boys will be boys."
Yeah.
Dahlin got bumped before the drill and evened up the score. I wouldn't read too much into that. We want competitive practices, is what Lindy Ruff said. So yeah, LeBlanc, even though it kind of made up for that, is there anything you kind of take away from that? It leads into my next question.
So there's an old quote from Danny Heatley, and a similar thing happened in Ottawa a couple years ago. And the quote is by Heatley is, "It's flu season, guys get cranky, you know. Sometimes you just gotta get a jolt of energy in the morning." Because after I think Heatley and Emery fought each other at morning practice, so it's flu season, guys get cranky. But yeah, that happens with teams who aren't really doing well. I would say there's a lot more tension in those practices.
Yep.
And sometimes it's healthy to get that out though.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Little, it's not it's a little concerning, but it does happen at points. But my other question for you, LeBlanc, is it too late or not? Not too late. Is it late, early in Buffalo with this slow start? Seems like there's a lot on the line for this team. Are you a little worried?
I'm a little concerned. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's too early to be I think it's too early to hit the panic button, but I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's a little bit. We already spoke about our concern about this team, and even though both of us were pretty low on them in our divisional previews, we said that the Lindy Ruff hiring was to fill seats, and that we think that Kevin Adams' job is on the line. It's a little bit worrisome with this slow start. You got to at least take a little bit of a step this year, even if you don't make the playoffs.
You need you
Come
need
close
to
enough.
be where you were a year and a half ago when you were a point out of the playoffs.
100%. If not in the
You
playoffs,
need to be
that's
in the
the only way
playoffs
you can
just
make the playoffs.
outside by like 4 points. You cannot have another season where you're out of it by March, out of it by February.
Yes, if you're out of it by March, honestly, if you're out of it, if
But
you start off I would say if you have a 2-9 record by November, I think Adams is gone.
I think Adams is gone by Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving. Excuse me.
Yeah, not Canadian Thanksgiving. That's
Yeah,
today.
that's today.
Well, today when we're recording this, but yeah, I think that a lot is on the line this year for this team. So it definitely is understandable why there's some worry and some fierce competitiveness going on because I think Lindy Ruff's job is fine. They're not going to fire him after only a couple of games. It wouldn't surprise me, but they're not going to fire him. I would think Kevin Adams' job is what's really on the line.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting following that throughout the season. Maybe they will, bounce back and come and be able to maybe bounce back and get into the playoffs. But again, LeBlanc, that Atlantic looks really competitive as it is already. I mean, you see a lot of teams. I basically every team but Buffalo has a positive record. So I don't know. We'll see what
It's
happens
tough,
there.
tough, tough division. You need to come on top of that top division somehow. Like I said, if you are honestly, the way things are going, and I think that we see right now, if Buffalo is below Montreal, I think they clean house, even with Ruff.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Again, we've both said that we believe that this is going to take a little bit of time. I think that they're still a couple years away, but yeah, definitely a little bit concerning. Another thing that I want to talk about is the Colorado Avalanche. They are 0-2. They lost a game to the Vegas Golden Knights 8-4, which you can kind of make a pass for, but then again, Vegas only had 24 shots and they scored 8 goals on you. And then you go and play Columbus, a good opening thing with Jokic and things like that. And they end up losing in that game as well. But one of the most notable things I would say is Alex Georgiev. The Georgiev problem is what they're calling it. He had 8 goals against in 2 games played, pulled in back to back, and has a .680 save percentage. Now, Jared Bednar did come out in a press conference after that second game against Columbus and say that he is our guy. He is going through something that is mental right now, which is very good. You don't want to obviously say, "Oh, we're gonna trade for another goaltender," or "We're giving up on Georgiev." But LeBlanc, is there some worry there because this isn't the first instance where we've seen some concern with Georgiev as a goalie in Colorado?
Yes, there's concern. I want to point back to Gorgiev in the playoffs, how he was by far, I don't mean to be an asshole here, but by far the worst goalie in the playoffs.
Yeah, I
Uh,
100% agree.
I think not who, sorry, I think Gorgiev has to be better. You have to be better, and I'm gonna say it. If it's that serious, I think you should maybe enter the assistance program. But
Yeah,
that's not for me to judge though. That's not for me to say, oh, you're bad. Go to the assistance program. No, I feel like if it's that serious, go get help. But Colorado, if we're looking at this end of the month, end of October, Colorado under 500, there's going to be a trade happening. They're going to bring somebody in. I'm surprised they didn't take a chance on Husso on waivers.
I was a little bit surprised about that too. Now we're going to talk about that in news, but I guess we can bring it up now. The Red Wings placed Ville Husso on waivers on Sunday. He did clear waivers. He does have 1 year left on a $4.75 million contract. and through the first couple of games for Detroit has not looked that great. But I was a little bit surprised too. But then again, like if you go out and you claim Husso on waivers, that might make Georgiev a little bit worse or mentally. So I understand it from that perspective 100%. But yeah, there's got to be some concern there for sure when you look at the Georgiev issue.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. All right. We're going to get into one more thing here before we transition over to the news around the NHL. LeBlanc, I want to read off to you the playoff picture right now. The current playoff picture. Now, we are 3 to 4 games into the season. I want to say that, but we might do this every episode. But I think there's something interesting here that LeBlanc's going to laugh at. We're going to start off with the Western
I think I
Conference.
know what it is, but let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. So Dallas would play Minnesota first in the West would play Minnesota, which is the second wild card. The first in the Pacific, which is Vegas, would play St. Louis, who is the first wild card.
Okay,
Winnipeg would play Utah,
that'd be
and
fun.
LA would play Calgary.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. The old LA Calgary rivalry. That'd be fun.
That would be fun. In the Eastern Conference, the New Jersey Devils would play the Boston Bruins.
That'd be
Devils are
fun. That'd be
first
really fun.
Yeah. Devils are first in the East. Bruins are the first wild card. The Maple Leafs, who are first in the Atlantic, tied for first, by the way. It's a little bit of a hypothetical. They would play Florida,
Yeah.
who is the first wild card spot. All right, Metropolitan Rangers versus Columbus.
That'd be weird. That we haven't seen that series. I actually don't think they've ever met in the playoffs. Now that I think about it.
No, I don't think so either. That'd be like the Rick Nash battle. That's
Yeah.
what I think of when I think of those two teams. And then in the Atlantic, you have the Ottawa Senators versus the Montreal Canadiens.
Ottawa in 5. It's not even close.
Again,
That would be I would be on edge for the 2 weeks if that happened. I would be on edge the entire time because
all episodes would be chaos.
yes.
I'm just saying. I would sit here and just let LeBlanc talk about the game the entire time.
That'd be fun because you have two fan bases in a close proximity to each other. Two fan bases that do not like each other at all.
Yes. So that would be a lot of fun.
If Ottawa,
that would be fun to look at.
if that happened, Ottawa to win the playoffs, that'd be crazy.
It would be. It would be a crazy playoff. That would mean that Florida and Boston would be in the wild cards.
It also would mean that Florida and Boston be in the wild card. Then Tampa dropped off. That's what. And the Tampa dropped off. That means also the Wings dropped off if Montreal's getting in there.
Yeah. I do want to preface by saying that Carolina is last in the conference. They've played one game.
Oh.
So just keep that in mind. All right, that does it for headlines around the National Hockey League. Let's talk about some news around the National Hockey League that does not relate to some of the things that we talked about. Boone Jenner, going back to Columbus, going through a very unfortunate injury. He suffered a freak accident in practice last week. He is expected to miss a minimum of 5 months. It sucks because, he's your captain. And after all you've been through, you lose your captain for almost the whole season. It's Columbus cannot catch a break, which really is unfortunate.
They're snake bit. They're a snake bitten franchise. I'm telling you,
they really
the amount of shit they have had to go through, the amount of stuff that's happened to them. But hey, that's Columbus though. They're still kicking around. They're still trying to get there. Columbus has always been a team based off of grit though. They've always been a gritty team. Always got in off the grit of the city. So I feel like Columbus will survive this. The young guys got to step up though.
Yeah, 100% agree. Some signings around the National Hockey League. These are a little bit outdated. These contracts were signed on October 7th, but it's been a while since we recorded an episode, so we did not get to talk about these. Max Pacioretty and Steven Lorentz signed 2 contracts with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not surprises whatsoever. We knew Pacioretty was going to get signed. He got signed to an $873K deal. He actually has $600,000 in performance bonuses.
Wow.
So that's pretty awesome. Lorentz is a league minimum deal. Both, I think, are good ads. Pacioretty will fit in on that top six. He looked good in the preseason. And I would say that Lorentz is a good depth forward as well. So good ads there for Toronto. We kind of knew that was going to happen, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Nils Hoglander signed a 3x3 with the Vancouver Canucks. We'll see how that deal goes. That deal begins in 2025-26. I want to talk about these two first before we get into the big one. Joey Dackard signed a 5x5 with Seattle. That has a little bit of risk to it, I would say, because Dackard's only had one, pretty good season. Besides that, it's kind of been shaky, to be honest with him. I think he can be good, but it's a little bit of a risk signing to that deal with only a half a season of, pretty good play. But I think it will work out.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even worried about it. I think Decord's a stud. I think Decord will play up to that contract. That should be in the couple years that'll be a steal. I really do think that Decord will be Seattle's starter next season, or even this season. I think I'd rather have him over Grubauer right now.
Yeah, I would too. Honestly, 100%. Especially after that game against St. Louis, 100%. Carter Verhaeghe signed an 8-year, $7 million deal with the Florida Panthers. This came after the game ended in their opener. Verhaeghe, very clutch. This guy, I swear to God, he has scored so many clutch overtime goals through the last 2 years of Florida's playoff run. And LeBlanc is showing off his Panthers jersey of Verhaeghe, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's good that he's locked up for 8 years, so LeBlanc doesn't have to have a old faulty jersey. So, and one more signing I want to get into here before we wrap up with some New York Rangers news. Linus Ullmark has signed a 4-year, $8.25 million extension with the Ottawa Senators. We actually could have talked about this when we talked about Ottawa at the beginning of the episode, but I thought we'd wait till now and put it in with all the news. LeBlanc, I'm going to go right to you. How are we feeling?
God is good. That's how we're feeling. All the talk. Oh, he's gonna leave. Oh, who's going to sign in Ottawa? Oh, he's gone by the deadline. 4 more years. 4 more years. It's
You sound like a Republican saying
All right.
that.
It's great for the community. It's great for the organization. Goaltending's been the number one hole of this team, and we have a Vezina goaltender locked up for the next 4 years, plus this year happening. So 5 years of Ullmark, yeah.
Getting paid the same amount as Swayman.
Which is funny.
Cool.
It's funny.
Yeah. They also have the same save percentage, too. Did you know that?
Yes, I saw that. That's also funny.
Actually kind of crazy how these guys are, parallel together, which is pretty sick, I gotta be honest with you. So, good on Ullmark for getting locked up. We did ask the question during the offseason and the season previews if we thought that Ullmark was going to get, or if I asked LeBlanc if he thought that Ullmark would get traded. Now that's out of the question, even if they're out of the playoffs.
And I was right.
You were right. One last piece of news here before we wrap up. We're not going to really get to do any games today, unfortunately, or anything else that we could really talk about, but we'll get to that on Friday. Igor Shesterkin rejected an $8 million contract from the New York Rangers, and you can't help but be a little bit concerned about that. I think, personally, LeBlanc, $8 million is a fair offer.
That's a fair offer.
I gotta say, for what Shesterkin's done for that team, being the highest paid goalie in the NHL, I think, honestly, ever, too, is a fair offer. But obviously, he is not going down that road. And they've also said that they do not want to talk during the season. So, LeBlanc, what are your thoughts on this? Are you a little bit concerned with the fact that he's not taking $11 million? And how high would you go for Shesterkin?
Listen, Igor Shesterkin is by far, in my opinion, the best goaltender in the NHL right now. But the highest paid goaltender right now is Sergei Bobrovsky, I'm pretty sure.
I believe so.
$10 million.
Or $10 million. Okay.
I think it's $10 million.
I'm thinking about who.
Either was 11.5 or was it 11?
Shesterkin was 11 the offer that we know.
I feel like that's a pretty fair offer. And I feel like on the open market, no one's like I think the most on the open market you're gonna get is maybe 12, but
Maybe.
that's a maybe, and like not a lot of teams have just $12 million lying around.
Yeah. You look at cap space right now in the NHL, there's only I think a handful of teams that have more than 12 million, more than 11 million in cap
Yeah,
space.
even
Like
going into
when
the
the
off
Rangers,
season,
yeah. When the Rangers sign this deal, they're going to have to move out a lot of pieces.
hmm
Truba. So, yeah,
um,
like Tampa Bay.
also I do want to say this: you get to play in New York City. You get to play in one of the biggest markets. You have the most media exposure in the country. Arguably. Um,
Yes.
so you get all the prime time. You get all these perks of playing in New York City. I think 11 million is the fair offer. I feel like this is. I don't feel like they'll get him signed, but I feel like if they're going to play hardball, this is going to be a very, very ugly negotiation.
Yeah, this could get pretty ugly. And if the Rangers lose Shesterkin, yeah, I don't know. They might not be in that good of a spot down
That
the line.
that would if they don't have Sturkin, that's not a playoff team, arguably.
I think they
Maybe
probably
wild
can.
card, like wild card team.
They're not presidents winners. They're
No,
not first
definitely not President's winner.
100%. So I mean, again, like things could go a certain way and things could change, but yeah, you don't like what you're seeing there from Shesterkin. In other news, though, another guy that they do need to lock up is Alexis Lafreniere. Reportedly, he is going to maybe get paid $8 million on his next deal. How do you feel about that?
I don't like that personally. He's looks great this season, but I feel like he's more of a $7.5 million player.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, with the cap going up, I could see an argument for it. Let me just pull up his stats here real quick. He's actually off to a pretty good start to the year. Has 3 points in 2 games with
He
the
scored
Rangers.
tonight too, so
Yeah, he scored tonight as well, so 4 points. Last year, he did take a bit of a jump. Had 57 points with the team from a 39 point season the year before. I don't know with the cap going up, maybe, but I don't know. I would have to see probably a
I
good 70 point
I
year
mean, if
after.
he's getting 8, that's a fair ask from Lafreniere though, because like his comparable is probably Lucas Raymond.
Yeah, and Raymond got around that number,
Yeah,
so I would say that's completely fair for Lafreniere to go down that road. But again, you see that, and then the Shesterkin thing. Like you're really gonna have to move out a few players if you want to make this work.
yeah.
So we will see what happens there. One more piece of news here. Raphael Lavoie has made some headlines by being placed on waivers by the Oilers, being claimed by the Golden Knights, being placed on waivers by the Oilers, being claimed by the Golden Knights, and I think he's in Vegas now.
I
So
have no idea. As the fourth claim, I lost track. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, yeah, he has been bouncing back and forth. I think it's just them in Vegas playing a fun game, which is like really like kind of annoying. I can't lie. Like Lavoie's got to be like, oh, I guess I'm getting on a plane to Vegas, and then he's like, oh, guess I'm staying in Edmonton. Guess I'm going to
It's
Vegas.
like,
Oh,
brother, let me sleep. let me...
yeah, guy has no idea where he's going. But to end off this episode, is there any guys that you can remember that were kind of like placed on waivers like that?
Lassie Thompson
Or,
last
or
year.
Forsberg had that at one point,
Forsberg
didn't he?
was on waiver. Carolina on waivers, claimed by Chicago. On waivers, claimed by Ottawa. No, claimed by Winnipeg. On waivers, claimed by Ottawa.
Yeah, that I think Eric Comrie as well was another one who
Comrie's the
was like,
one that goes back and forth between Buffalo and Winnipeg quite often.
yeah, that was that. Well, that was that year. Like 2021 was that like weird division year, and that was the year where like a lot of players would like bounce and get claimed, and it was like the need for goalies was insane. One
Yeah.
guy that I do remember is Alex Brooks. I don't know if you remember him.
Adam Brooks, yeah.
It was Adam or Alex Brooks. I'm not 100% sure, but he was like on Toronto. Then he got claimed by Montreal. Then he got claimed by Vegas, and then he got claimed by Winnipeg, and back to Toronto.
Was he on
Bounced around.
Philly? Didn't he get claimed by Philly too?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
I, I don't think he got claimed by Philly. But yeah, those are a few guys that I remember. Waivers is always funny because there's always like a certain amount of players who will get placed on waivers from time to time, and you'll be like, oh, wow, okay. So, yeah, that's all we got to wrap up this episode of the Northern Block Podcast. LeBlanc, any final thoughts you have for us here? This was a good episode. Had a good time.
LA, Ottawa, please work on your defense.
Yep, I would agree with that. My final thought is go Cleveland Guardians for the World Series.
Ooh, I'm Guardians, but it's all about the Mets, baby. I want one of those two teams to win for sure.
I can't root for the Mets after the Phillies.
I know.
I can't do it. But like that series with LA, again, we talked about it before we started, was such like a polarizing series because I don't want to root for the Mets, but I don't want to root for the Dodgers. It's like a back and forth. So, yeah. All right, well, that will conclude this episode of the Northern Block Podcast. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe down below. Give us a good review. Tell your friends if you're listening. Follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Follow the Nord Block Pod Instagram. Follow the Nord Block Pod Twitter. They will be posted down below. I'm Nord. That's Block. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Ciao.
I just do what I do. See me? I just do what I do. Man, I just do what I do. To know about you, I just do what I do. Check. That's the intro. See that? Yeah. I just do what I do. See me? I just do what I do. Yo, check. Let me flip this script. I feel privileged for all who can witness this. I am close to divine. Know the moment is mine, need no omen or sign. I sprint. Providing a back sound to all the squares that ask around. Be getting it. My skills pay me. Trying to get a million, baby, with an adopted flow that God gave me. Me now. Tell whoever runners that they spot is temporary till I take it as mine. I'm selfish. Your will. Tell Miss I'm on my wealth tip. So when we cash out soon, I'm just investing. Hey, no yes men. I've been a legend since before mom and dad had me and was best friends. I chew through comp, don't test them. I chew on tracks, cause after that I bless them. I just do what I do. You see me? I just do what I do. I just do what I do. I don't know about you. I just do what I do. Check. I just do what I do. You see me? I just do what I do. Feel me? I just do what I do. I don't know about you. I just do what I do.